Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to Spiritual Prosperity Codes. And I am beyond excited to be launching with you guys something really powerful tonight. But actually, this is not a launch because I have run this program, designed it, created it, and it has been now running, and it was birthed probably around about 18 months ago. And it's all around your spirituality. So my name's Terri Messenger, and thank you so much for joining as you tune into your prosperity. And I want to start by asking you the question, what is prosperity? What is true spiritual prosperity? Is it really about money? Is it really about riches? Is it really about all of the elements of materialistic possessions? Or is it a prosperous body, mind, soul, and life? Well, the fact is, if you were laying on your deathbed, you would only have one wish, and it wouldn't be for money. And the fact is, guys, that your spiritual prosperity is within you, and you can have it all. You can absolutely have it all. And I wonder if you can say hello in the comments, and let me just bring up our banners here. So firstly, I want to let everyone know that we are going to be doing a lot of meditation. And because of that, I need to make sure that you are somewhere safe and that you're okay to be able to tap into your body, your soul, your mind. So this is what I would like to kick off with. So do we have any Joe Dispenza fans in the house? Do I hear anyone? And if we can open up the chat room, let's all just let me know if you are a Joe Dispenza fan. Now, Joe Dispenza really believes in the ultimate neuro pathways, that your body and all of your thoughts and everything about you is wiring and firing together. So that means if you are having thoughts that are wiring together and firing together, that is producing your behaviors, that is producing your life outcomes. That is really what everything is running on: your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. So I want to really just welcome you all in, and I would love to see if you are a Joe Dispenza fan. So let's hear from you in the chat room. Let me just make sure I've got everything ready to go here, because what I'm going to do is I would like to go through a formula with you tonight. And wherever you are around the world, whether it is morning time if you're in the USA, or whether it is nighttime. I know there's people watching us from our groups. There's people that are in the registration. That means that you are watching this privately, and if you are very fortunate or you are in my portal, you will also have a copy of this so that you can really study and understand many of the teachings that I'm going to take you through tonight. So firstly, I want to tell you that, where my vision came from. So my vision to become a coach, healer, and leader, this is something that evolved in my life after I had gone through so much despair, so much inadequacy, so much depression. I did all the things. I seemed to have the perfect life on the outside, and I got married, had kids, and did all of those elements. But really, behind the scenes, even though I was showing up and I always had a very vivacious and energetic personality. That's just me, right? That's my natural personality. But really deep down inside, there was a little bit of a sadness, and that sadness was about the self-doubt and all of the inadequate thoughts that I had accumulated. But somehow or rather, Joe Dispenza says that by the time we are 35 years old, we are hardwired. So that means that, we have formulated our beliefs. We start making decisions about our future, right? Like, have you ever found yourself really wanting to make a change, really wanting to succeed, really wanting to create that epic, that epic status that you deserve to have, like as a coach, healer, leader, or whatever you're doing. But you find that even though you're wanting to make the change, there is something that is holding you back. Well, I'm about to tell you the reason why. You see, what happens is that because we are really formed by the age of 35, set up with all our beliefs, set up with everything that we a lot of the things that we are meant to know, because we're obviously adults, right? We've learned how to drive the car, we've gone to school, we've been educated, we've done all the things. So this is really the prime age where Joe Dispenza says we are really hardwired. So this is the part where we start making decisions based on the automation of what we have learned from the past. So in other words, if you are repeating what you've been doing from back here because of what you believe, what you know, you are going to get the same outcome. So how can we change this? What is it that we're going to change? Because this is really what Prosperity Codes is all about, and the reason why this evolved. So I came into NLP in 2006. My marriage had broken down. I had basically moved away from a community of people and felt like I lost it all. So I really had to step out and make a massive decision in my life. And we're going to be talking about massive decisions in this episode, in this sequence, because decisions are about your life. Now, what does an entrepreneur do? The spirit of an entrepreneur is someone who is prepared to make decisions. But even if you're not a coach, healer, leader, or someone who is in a business of your own, I am sure that you want to be prosperous, that you want success, like we all do, right? Which means that this is where making really tough decisions is going to come with the territory. But the tough decisions are something that we do when we know that, it's time for a change. I cannot go on like this anymore. So what I'd like to do is ask you the question, what is your prosperity code? What would you really love to achieve to be prosperous? Is it that you would like to be? Is it about your health? Is it about your relationships? Is it going to be about specifically maybe the way that you conduct yourself, in your work life? Maybe you want to really make that next level and go to that next level. So the first thing, you have to stop copying and pasting. So stop the copying and pasting from your past and putting it into your future, because you need to create a new reality. You cannot possibly be at the next level and achieve something that is greater than what you have already without making a decision, making a change, going to that next level. So who's hearing me? Do you hear me? Let's have a look in the chat and see what's happening. Do I hear any takers in the chat? Is anybody willing to perhaps put their hand up And I'm sorry if you're in the group, I won't be able to talk to you there, but I really want to talk to you about, who my people are. Now, when my life changed in 2006, it happened as a result of neuro-linguistic programming. And I could not believe that I was able to make such a massive change in 10 days and change the way that I felt about my life. Now, if I told you that I used to be a walking magnet of picking up every cold, virus and flu that would go around, I was a very, very sickly person, even though, healthy on the outcome and overall, but there was a big part of me that was always suffering from immune illnesses, where I would just go down and I would really be sick. I would be either burnt out from being overstressed and overworked, or I would be literally down and out for 2 weeks with a flu. Now, if I told you that this is something very bizarre to me these days. These days, my body, even when I do go through a lot of suffering, I know what to do. I know the process of how to heal it, because your cells of your body are actually controlling your whole life. So if the cells of your body are actually holding all of the memory, all of the rewiring, all of the refiring, then that hard wire, how do we get you to actually make that change? And that's what we're about to really step into. So who's excited? Who's excited about moving into this level of clearing out some shits? Now, I want to start with the body, and as I spoke about the fact that neuro-linguistic programming and neurologically, that is what we are saying to ourselves. This is what we are speaking, and it's what we're speaking out loud, but it's also what we are saying to ourselves. So neurological is what N stands for in NLP. The linguistic is the actual words that we speak, because we are as a result of the words that we speak. And programming is really the way that we have been wired. Like, how are you wired? What are your beliefs? So there are so many powerful modalities that can actually unpack a lot of that old wiring and that old pathway of the way that you have been operating and make a change. So here's what I would like to say, because I know that there are so many coaches, healers and leaders that have jumped on board, and there are a lot of Joe Dispenza fans as well. So before we jump into our first meditation for this evening, what I'd like to do is talk to you about your power. Where does your power come from? Now, if I told you that if I hadn't have gone through everything that I did, probably in my 30s, when I realized that I'd been rewired and everything had been set up, and then all of a sudden my belief system was in place, and the dreams that I wanted in my mind and the aspirations of everything I wanted to achieve, I couldn't achieve, and therefore there was this frustration. But do you know the only reason that you are not where you want to be, or you are suffering anything that you suffer, is because you are out of alignment? That means you want to move this way, but your old patterns and behaviors are moving that way. So the fact is, how do we bring this and this together? Well, the first thing that you must know is that everything is empty and meaningless. Now, this is one of the first things that I learned in the more of the subconscious personal development, and that is that if everything is empty and meaningless, and everything that we believe and everything about the world is empty and meaningless, then there are no meanings, right? And what if there was no meanings? What if we woke up tomorrow and there was absolutely no meaning to life? There was no meaning to that you had to have a job, or you had to look in a certain way, or you had to, be, living the life that you're living according to what you were, you grew up believing. All those went out the window. Well, the first thing is, if you absolutely lost your mind and came to your senses, right, and you began a brand new reality, the first thing that would happen is you would wake up in the morning, you would open your eyes, and you would go, how do I know that if I jump out of bed that I'm not going to just fall into a great big vortex? But the reason that we know that we're not going to jump out of bed and fall into a great big vortex is because our mind that is programmed already knows there's a flaw there. So that is something that is a natural thing that we can assume. It's a presupposition. We don't have to think about it. It's like we know where everything is. Now, think about all the people that have ever really hurt you in your life, or things that are going on in your life right now where you don't agree with it. And imagine if suddenly there was no meaning. What would happen if everything was just completely stripped away and what you were left with was just a blank, like this, a blank canvas to rewrite your life? Firstly, how would you be different? In what way would you be different? Would you perhaps be more of a determined person? Would you have more courage? I'd love to hear from you all if you care to actually just say. But, would you have more boldness? Would you have more of a fact of certainty where you would be able to make decisions? You would feel excited about everything. Everything that you do would feel so exciting. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off with the first element of this session with doing a meditation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some music. Just give me a moment. I'm going to choose my favorite music.
I am patient. I trust the process. And I condition my life for success.
Begin the first transmission. What I'd love to do is when you felt excited, where you felt excited, that is like you are ready to buy your first car, buy something, doing something. So exciting and consistent. As you what I'd like to do is just imagine that as you are thinking about that, and I'm just going to turn the music down just a little bit. As you think about that time when you were so excited, what was it? What was it that you were so excited about? Now, we're going to harness this. This is the first activity that we're going to do, because what we're going to do is we're going to show you how you can harness that excitement and how you can bring it into your body. So you've really got to go into that space. Now, I can remember a time when I went and I actually purchased a car. And I went out to buy a car. And I ended up coming home with 2 cars. And one was a little Honda Prelude, and the other one was a Toyota Corolla. And I remember it was just such an amazing car. And I was in real estate, I was young, I thought I was really, really cool. But you know, in those days, while everything on the outside seemed good, I was actually burnt out. I was burning out from working so hard. Now, the question is, when I look at when I was excited, what if we could bring excitement into our life about everything? So when you are excited, what I want you to do is I want you to see it on a great big screen. And as it comes up on a big screen, I want you to see yourself. How do you stand? How do you speak? Is your voice a little bit louder? How do you move your body? Like, are you moving your body in a certain way? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to see this moment of excitement, and I want you to take a picture of it, locking it into place. And now I want you to imagine that you are going to turn it up. You're going to turn it up so it's going to become bright. You are going to capture the codes of excitement. You are going to capture the visualization of how your brain produces all the right chemistry when you're doing excitement. And then I want you to actually place that picture and put it over on the left. Now the next one is I want you to think of a moment of certainty. This is a really big scientific formula, and I'm going to explain to you why this is going to be such a powerful formula after I take you through it. Now the music you hear in the background, and can you hear me okay? Just make sure that everyone can hear me well. And yeah, just making sure that you can hear me clearly, that's the most important thing. So certainty is when, you know, like when I decided I wanted to buy that blue car, that Honda Prelude, I made up my mind. I said to myself, I am having that car. That is my car. Okay? And I want you to remember a time of certainty. Have you ever felt so much certainty inside every cell of your body that you just know? It's like maybe when you met the love of your life. It may have been when somebody asked you to go out on a date and you're just like, heck yeah, yes, 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 yes. And every single cell of your body is just going, yes, yes, yes. Can you remember that moment of certainty? Now I want you to bring up that moment. Now this is, you've really got to make it a scene and bring it up in the eye of your mind. And as you bring that scene up, I want you to notice again what you look like, how you walk, how you talk, how you hold yourself. And you know, also, what is the story in your brain when you say yes to something, like when you have an unequivocal, absolute yes? What are you saying to yourself? It's what does it take to feel that? You see, it's all to do with the language, it's all to do with the words. And now I want you to turn it up, capture it, notice what you're saying, and lock it into space, and I want you to put it on the right hand side. So now you've got an image on the left, and now you've got an image on the right. Now last of all, when did you make a decision? It was a decision that you made in doing something. Now it could have been a decision to go away somewhere, it could have been a decision to take a job, or it could have been a decision to buy a house, or a decision to change over to where you were going. from one thing to another, but it's a decision. And it's like that point where you reach that point, there is no left and right anymore, because there's that incision where you cut off one side and you go the other way. And I want you to notice a time and think of this time, and I'll explain to you why this is going to be a very powerful quote. So just see yourself, imagine on the big screen, what was that decision about? What were you actually really saying yes and making that decision about? Do you remember what swung you? What it was that created you to just absolutely 100% decide on that? And again, I want you to notice the way that picture looks. I want you just to see it in your memory, because the way your memory is, let's face it guys, your whole life is running on memory. So we're looking at the codes of that memory. And as you look at it, notice how it looks. There's colour, how you look, how you hold yourself, how you sound, and then lock it into place. Okay, now as you lock it into place, I want you to put that up the top. So now you've got an image on the left, you've got one on the right, and you've got one on the top. Okay, right, now here comes the meditation, and I'm going to do a little bit of teaching. What if I told you that you can take something in your life, something that you are feeling really, really disappointed about, something that you are just maybe at the crossroads of your life and really thinking to yourself, maybe you're despondent. There's a lot of coaches, healers and leaders. I know that there may be some despondency in your business. There's people out there in the corporate world, there's despondency in your business, and there's people that are, in working 9-to-5 jobs, and there's despondency as long as you've got breath in your body. We all go through it. But here's the thing, what I want you to do is I want you to create right there between the left and the right hand photo and where the top photo is, because you have got all these beautiful codes, and one of them is, you've got the first one being excitement, that's over here. You've got the other one, excitement, certainty and decision. And now you're bringing in that moment of time, or what it is in your life that you're not happy about at the moment. It's an area of your life that you feel, it could be your health, because your prosperity is around your health, your $1 billion energy. It is around your relationships, and it's around your relationship with yourself, your self-worth, your self-value. So if there was an area lacking, what is that area in your life right now? What is it that you really want to change? Now, what I want you to do is imagine that's going to be running as a movie, and just let it run as a black and white movie, okay? And it's sitting there, and it's underneath the decision, and it's in between the excitement and the certainty. Now, just notice there's a different story, and it's the story that you're telling yourself in that black and white image that is different to the others. So what I want you to do is I want you to now close your eyes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to imagine a golden light right at the very crown of your head. And with this light on the very, very crown of your head, I want you to imagine it's going to come all the way down. It's going to cascade through the pathways of your mind. And it is going to now travel down, and it's going to move through your throat. And as it moves around your throat, I want you to recognize that your throat, this is a chakra of your voice. This is the place in the space where you require to activate your voice, where you can speak your truth, where you can stand in your power. So I want you to imagine there's golden light. Now, as there's golden light, I want you now to place one hand and place it on your stomach. Now imagine the space between your eyes. Now as you imagine the space between your eyes, I want you to imagine that space in space of time is creating vision. It's awakening your third eye. I want you now to imagine the golden light that is flowing through your throat. And just imagine the space in your throat. And as you imagine the space in time, imagine that space within. And now it's moving all the way down your spinal cord. And now just imagine there's space between your shoulders. And that space between your shoulders, just feel the golden light expanding you, almost like you are becoming so expanded as it moves down. And now it's moving through your chest and your solar plexus. Now just imagine the space between your lungs. And in that space of time, just feel everything expanding in space of time. As you begin to expand, as you become united with the entire planet. And then just allow that golden light to move down into your stomach. And this is your intuition. This is the space of your gut. This is where your intuition is activated. And I want you to imagine the space in space of time within your stomach and all the organs. Just imagine that space, that golden light. And now imagine it moving down deeper and deeper. And as it moves down, it is now moving into the sacral space. This is the root chakra. And as you can feel the space between your pelvis and your tailbone, just feel that space in space of time and imagine everything is expanding. Imagine that everything is activating now. We are activating your prosperity codes. We are activating your intuition. We are activating your heart, and so that you can bring in forgiveness, kindness, so you can bring in love, unconditional love. And now just imagine your voice is activating. You are speaking your truth. And as your whole body fills up with golden light, and now moving through your head and the golden crown to your head, I want you to close your eyes and make sure your eyes are closed and look up through your eyebrows. Feel your eyes looking up as they're closed down shut. And just feel a sense that the crown of your head is now wisdom taking in this wisdom. And So by the time you are filled up with bottom line, you are going to open up your prosperity codes, your voice activation, your chakras. And so with no further ado, I want you to now imagine you are filled with light. And then just come back to where you are and open your eyes. And now I'm going to tell you the formula. So guys, what we've just done is we've just centered you, and I wonder if you can feel how centered that you feel. Now, did you know that darkness and disease cannot live in any cells of the body that's filled with light? And you know, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, people have disease because when the cells of the body are actually through the chemistry of our thoughts, are actually producing the same thoughts over and over again, even when the cells of our body change. That is why the cells come back the same. But when you can actually create this lightness and this brightness that can totally rejuvenate your cells, and meditate, because this is when you can come in to knowing yourself. That's when everything changes. Okay, here comes the formula. And so this formula, I want it to be done very consciously. So let's just take a drink. And I want you to think about now those movies that are there. You've got, remember, on the left, excitement, followed by certainty, and followed by decision. And then you've got something happening. Now, if it is that you are wanting to create prosperity in your business, or whether it is in your relationship, or whether it is in your health, I want it to be specific and something you want to change. Now, do you realize that by taking the same enzymes and the same chemistry that you've got on the left and the right and above, and actually bringing it into the same, into this picture here that's negative, what you're doing is you're recreating a new reality. You're making a whole new personality and reality about that situation. So my question to you is, what do you need to change? What is it in you that you have in excitement, certainty, and decision that you don't have here? Now, what are the two biggest things that people are suffering from in their day-to-day life? Let me tell you, time and money. Okay, now what if I told you that you can bend time? What if I told you that Albert Einstein, in his theory that really time is just an illusion, is actually true? Because you see, if you think about it, now we've got our formula, as you know. If you think about when you are excited, right, time is different to when you are doing something that is painful or something that you hate. So if you are doing something that you truly dislike, time drags, right? But if you are excited, time tends to actually go much faster. But what is the recipe for productivity? So if you are looking to awaken your prosperity, firstly, what you need to do is you absolutely 100% need to ensure that you have your focus on billion-dollar energy, your incredible, relationship with yourself and the people around you, and also come to know that you are not a doormat. So with regards to, it's interesting what we do as people. Like quite often, if we're a people pleaser, we end up becoming very resentful. We can become resentful of ourselves or resentful of other people because of the fact that we're not being true to ourselves, right? We're not being congruent. So if I told you you are attracting everything in your life, everything in your life is what you are manifesting, and you can manifest something different. You can manifest something powerful. But here comes the kicker. It's going to require excitement, okay? Now, excitement can come through a plan. Excitement can be where you've got a plan, where you know exactly what you're going to do and you feel excited about it. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need certainty. So that certainty, which is a formula, is actually that element of you going, you know what? I'm going to release that self-doubt. I'm going to release the fact that I'm living small because I'm living in fear. I'm living in fear of moving forward. What you require is you require that code of certainty. So as you bring in that code of certainty and then you make a decision in your life, what is the decision you're going to make? And now, guys, I'm going to talk to you about the code, of which I'm going to put up here on the board. And the code is, I always like to do acronyms. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's not very clear. So let's see if we can bring it. If I can move this out the way. All right, so we've got G. G is your gift. Okay? The next one is R. R is realizing what your gift is. Okay? The next one is R, and this is releasing what is the grr. Because if you think of grr, and I'm not sure that you can actually see that, but I'm wondering if we turn off one of these lights, whether that might make a difference. I think that made a slight difference. So you've got, for me teaching you, it's easier. So you've got your gift, you're realizing what your gift is, and also releasing. You really are going to have to release the brokenness, the pain, and the trauma of your life so you can reignite yourselves, so you can let go. Now, that little meditation that I took you through, what we would do if we were in a session, let's just say we had a session together, what we would do is we would speak to the cells of the body. We would speak to the cells of the body and we would go through a scenario where you are actually understanding what it is that you have to learn. So down the bottom here, which really the learning is connected with the realization, okay? So if I told you that every single thing that has ever happened to you in your life is actually happening to you because there is something you need to learn. Got that? Just let that fall for a moment. Now, what if I told you that the whole point of you actually having gone through some really bad stuff in your life, and let's just say if you are a coach, healer, a leader, or whatever it is where you are wanting to actually exert your gift, what if I told you the only reason that you've gone through your suffering and you've gone through everything so you can have a spiritual awakening? And that spiritual awakening is all designed for you to learn. And because you would then learn, you can then go out and help the world. So your gift comes from your greatest, and I'm just going to put this here, it comes from your pain. Now, when I say your greatest pain, it's a pain that makes you so freaking grrr. I mean, like a tiger, right? So this is either like my husband, Dr. Ian, okay, he had great pain from falling off a bicycle and injuring his legs, and as a result he had so much pain in his body. He went from being an auto electrician to a chiropractor because he had this ammunition, he had this fire inside him to want to make a change. Now, when you have this fire to make a change, that's when it becomes, your gift comes from your pain, and it then converts into your gain. So the pain of your story becomes your glory. Your realizing this is going to be powerful. Your releasing of this is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. In fact, releasing, so let's just say you're going through a crisis somewhere in your life, or you're either going through a crisis in your life, or you have had a crisis in your life but it hasn't been resolved. Like maybe it was years ago, whatever. But if it has not been resolved, I'm telling you, it will show up as a trigger, and it will show up and it will actually, this is what, when they say it comes back to haunt you, that's what it's all about. So by actually releasing, guess what happens? It's the last R on the board here, guys. It turns into it's a revelation. Okay? It becomes your revelation. Now, your revelation is now where you can lose yourself and come to your senses. In other words, this is not about you anymore. This becomes about something much bigger than yourself. And this is why when I did that meditation just a while ago with you, what did we do? Just so you know, we activated the voice. We activated the codes of your voice. We also went to the heart, because the heart is the space where we've got to be able to let go. We've got to be able to release. We've got to be able to forgive. Now, how powerful is this work? If this can release, and actually that little scientific formula that I put up before, where you've got, if we can just come back to my banner, where you've got your excitement, certainty, and your decision, this becomes, right, your formula of being excited and having the certainty and also making a decision in your life to make a change. Now, that's not too complicated, guys, is it? But what you've also got to have is a plan. So are you giving the universe a why? Like if you, for example, we've got 3 parts of our mind that I predominantly work with. Number 1 is your subconscious mind. And the subconscious is the part that is automated. So everything is here. So you're wired for money, you're wired for the way you think about everything. But what if your blueprint of your money, or the blueprint of your relationships, or even the blueprint of your energy is actually really lacking? So let me give you an example around money here. So my family, I grew up, and really I came into a very fortunate, blessed family. I really couldn't have asked for, a better upbringing, as far as my parents going into real estate. And really, we had everything that we wanted in the way of materialistic possessions. But my father comes from a third world country. He comes from Burma. He was born in Burma. So do you think there may be a little bit of a poverty consciousness behind the fact that that's his ancestral lineage? Okay. On the other hand, my mum, she's an Aussie, and, there's European blood in there as well. But the one thing that I used to hear when I was growing up, and this is what you've got to think of, when you hear the saying, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, or, all of these beliefs, like, you've got to go back and think to yourself, what do I really believe around money? Because if your prosperity around money, it's either that you may be it could be scarce, money could be scarce, right? Or it could be falling through your fingers. Now, believe you me, if money is falling through your fingers, I'm an expert on this one. In fact, I have been just working with a beautiful woman named Jane, and Jane is absolutely astounding. She's been working with me for several years, and we've gone through, a lot of the subconscious blocks. We've released a lot of the elements, and we've done all the work. And Jane is really a gifted woman, and she's a wealth activator. Now, I know how blessed she is, and I know that she's been overthinking the element of stepping into the online space and offering a program, and yet she is so very, very good at what she does. So, we actually did the 3D element of what we did was we got together over a bottle of champagne, and we designed her program. Now, there wasn't anything about this that, didn't come from her, but I'm very good at extrapolating. So I was able to extract out of her, what are some of the biggest elements that her people need, when they're looking at their money, when they're really wanting to create wealth. And what I want to do is I just want to showcase you to Jane. I'm going to actually just share my screen. And I've got everybody on 2 speeds so we can make this really quick, because I want to get on to the next meditation. So just bear with me as I do this. And share. And away we go.
Hi, Terri. I just wanted to say thanks for the chat this afternoon, and thank you so much for that retreat. It is the most amazing experience I think I've ever had, and I've done some transformational work with you before, but I think doing it in Bali in the way that we did it was just so humbling and spiritual, and I swear to God, I've changed on so many levels in that short period of time. I've come back, and my daughter and I have been mucking around, and she's like, Mum, it's almost like you become a teenager again. My energy levels are off the charts, and I had such a physically and mentally hard year last year with all the illnesses in my body and waiting for my surgery. So, it's the change is just incredible. Everyone's looking at me going, oh my God, you're on fire. And I'm like, I know, everything's so easy. Work's easy. It doesn't even seem like work, which, everyone always said to me, find what you're passionate about and it won't seem like work. But, honestly, I thought that was a bit of crap. But I can honestly say that, mortgages was always my passion. Budgets are definitely my passion. But uncovering my wealth activation is next level passion for me. That is it and a bit. I cannot even call it work for me. It is pure joy, transforming people, helping them transform their lives, watching the spark come back into them. I now know what you say to me when you always say, to you, it's not work, it's a legacy, it's your passion. And that's what you've ignited in me. And I'm so creative. I like creating packages to do for my clients. I've already started working on these clients with the packages. It's unbelievable. And it's just so much fun, and creating the content, and it's just all very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Amazing. So you can hear what's happened here. And so Jane did the work. She did the work, and because she did the work, you know, this is where she is in her life. And I know, because I've sped up everything so that we can move through it really fast, it almost sounds a little bit, it's almost humorous, isn't it? But that's okay. We're allowed to have humor here. So what is it with you? If you think to yourself, have you got a really good prosperity blueprint? So for me, I had an unusual prosperity blueprint because, as I said, I grew up and I really didn't want for anything. I really went to a girls' school. I had everything I wanted. It was a great life, you know, as far as what my parents were able to give to me. But there was this poverty consciousness that would seep out of, you know, through my father in certain ways. And my mum often called it false humility. And I remember when, you know, mum would always have to say if she bought something that she got this big bargain. So I sort of thought to myself that everything that you get, you've got to actually bargain for. But what has been my pattern, which is a very sad one, because I was actually going through this with Jane, because what we did is we designed Jane's program. Jane had, like, she was sitting with me and she had doubts with me. And she said, I don't know whether I can do this. And what if I won't be able to do this? And I'm like, you've just got to trust the process. Everything is in you. So the first 3D, the first one is to design. So we designed her program. The next part is to then actually get her demonstrate. So we've got to demonstrate what that actually looks like. And then the last one is duplicate. And on Friday, Jane took me through and we had created this incredible program. As I said, everything came from her, but of course, what I'm doing is I'm able to facilitate, bring it all together, pull the right techniques to what worked with Jane. And I will say, I've got to say this story. Jane absolutely loves one of the most potent, powerful techniques that erases phobias. It erases trauma. And you know, when we were in Bali, you could hear that she was talking about a Bali adventure that we had together. We were going onto a swing, this big Bali swing, and you can probably see us on Instagram. We've got the dresses on, we were excited, but I had no idea that Jane was petrified of heights. And I noticed she'd gone quiet, and I did notice her face was looking a bit white, but I had no clue whatsoever. And then as I was standing there, I said, take a picture of me. And I moved back so that the jungle and this great big valley behind me was there. And she said, that's just what I need. She said, she told me off. She said, I just need that vision of you to go home to. And I thought, is she serious? And I laughed. And then I realized she was petrified. Now, this belief has come from somewhere. This phobia, this trauma. Now, remember, we are talking about prosperity. We're talking about developing programs. But everything does absolutely hinge on the way you function. So the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Guys, do you know what happened? There were tons of people around. Soon as she broke down into tears and she started crying, I went straight to her. I realized she was serious, and I went through You know that formula that we've got on the board about excitement, certainty, and decision? I don't know how, you know how I sped up her voice? My voice was sped up like that. I went up to her, I had people, I had a captive audience, but they all disappeared. No one was there in my mind. And I went through with her, and I actually, what I did was I got her to create the image of the excitement, okay, and get her to put it up here on the left. I got her to create an image of her certainty, or it might have been fun, or it might have been something else. I can't remember the formula exactly, but let's just say it was fun. And we did it here. And then with her fear, what we did was we actually released it. We released it from her subconscious mind. Now, just remember, Jane was white as a ghost. She was absolutely in fear. And, you know, there'd been a whole lot of other stuff that was going on, which I could tell was going to be blocking her journey for her wealth, her ultimate experience to really become this incredible person that she is. But in that moment, do you know what she did? She went and jumped straight on the swing, and away she went. And it was like, I forgot that, I forgot there was a crowd there. But I was wondering why people were kind of rallying around us. And the driver, our Bali tour driver, said, I think there's something very special about you, Terri. But this is just one element. So it goes to show, this is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So now we're going to talk about bending time. Bending time means that, do you ever find yourself procrastinating? I mean, I have to admit, I am a shocking procrastinator. And, because I'm such I'm a great one for putting things off. When I first came from the clinic where I was seeing people for trauma, and I was dealing with people, every single day, what I did was I actually became a trainer. I started certifying, psychologists. I began certifying people that were just so incredible, because they said to me, Terri, this stuff is so powerful. I need to have it. So I became a trainer way back in 2007, simply because my clients wanted me to do this. And so, then when I came from the clinic into the online space, I was suddenly hit with a rude shock. And this brings me back to my procrastination. You see, what happens is when a person goes online and when a person is working for themselves, they have a lot of freedom. But is that freedom always a good thing? Because the fact is that you have got to have a few things happening if you are truly going to be successful. And one of them is self-discipline. Now, where does self-discipline come from as a coach? Well, actually, I'm going to talk about Jane again, because Jane said to me, you know what, Terri, this is the year that I'm going to activate, what I'm doing, because she's a finance broker, and I'm going to put it together and I'm going to bring it online. But what I'm going to do, Terri, is I am going to allocate days of the week where I do specific things. And this is the thing, because we tell ourselves, well, I don't have to show up, or I don't have to do that thing. I don't have to do a story, or I don't have to do a post, or I don't need to do anything. That's the very essence that causes many of us to fall into a trap. And I used to get up at whatever time I wanted. I remember coming into the online space thinking, oh, I can wear my pajamas and put a glamorous top on and then show up whatever time I like. But that didn't work. Guys, what you need self-discipline with a plan. And that plan that you have is the plan that is going to be the rock solid leverage for you to succeed. Okay, so with the self-discipline and with the plan, I had to really put that into place. I had to make sure that, okay, how am I going to do everything? But then a lot of my weaknesses started to come out again, and I asked myself a terrible question. In 2006, I'd healed so many things. I'd become so healthy. I was able to release and let go of so much trauma that I've had in my life. I was sacked from 8 jobs in a row. That low self-confidence that I had, I was able to totally throw that out the window and create a new reality, start a new personality to succeed. And as I did that, I then won a trip to the Bahamas. I remember going away. And guys, do you know what? My husband and I, on that trip to the Bahamas, this is what I mean by money going through your fingers or going through our fingers. We came back and we realized we had spent $80,000. Now, this sounds incredibly ridiculous, but we'd gone on this trip. We didn't have a real consideration or respect for the US dollar and how the US dollar is different to the Australian dollar. And we just whooped it up. We landed in a beautiful place where we docked. We went into a jewelry shop, and Ian got himself the most absolute new beaut watch that you would see, someone on television wearing. It's a really sophisticated watch. And he bought me a chocolate diamond necklace and a diamond ring that, I guess, once we realized, because we'd had a couple of drinks, spent the money, came home, and then realized what we'd done. But we didn't realize we'd spent so much money. We got tricked by our own stupidity of not understanding the difference between the US dollar and the Australian dollar. And this is just a part of our story where money has literally slipped through our fingers. In fact, when Jane was doing her program with me, because remember I talked about the 3D process, we designed her program, I needed to demonstrate her program, and then she needed to duplicate it. And you know what, when she did that, oh my gosh, I was blown away. There was so much healing on my prosperity, you guys. And yet I'd helped design this with Jane, but because she's so good, this came from her spirit. This came from her gift. And I then confessed to her that when I looked over the years, in miracle money, Ian and I had let almost up to $1 million slip through our fingers. We worked it out, right? That's in miracle money. That's miracle money that just showed up. We've had a lot of miracle money, and that's a good thing, right? Miracle money is great because it suddenly just shows up. Oh, 200,000. Oh, we just sold another property, $200,000 there. But then when it comes to facing up, sometimes we have to have big realizations and big learnings, and that's why I'm teaching this to you. And so therefore you need a plan and you need to be self-disciplined. So whether you have a prosperity scarcity of letting money fall through your fingers or just not making money at all, let me tell you, and this is the other thing, every time I ask myself, you know, I understand new level, new devil. So it was almost like I said to myself, we'd won the trip to the Bahamas. I told you we lost all that money. I came back and I thought, wow, I've had such a good life for so many years since I healed all the cells of my body that I wonder what's going to be my next upgrade. Well, I should never have asked that question because, guys, I really, really suffered so much disappointment, you know, from going from a really successful trainer, transformation queen, into this kind of dreamy kind of world that I thought that it was just going to be rainbows and butterflies, and then to get hit between the eyes with the realization that, hang on a minute, you know, first of all, what is my crisis? You know, am I going to be training people? So my crisis when I was in clinic was depression, trauma, and I had a lot of it. So every single person that I was healing them, and they were rising. They were rising like into their power. Women were finding their voices. And this is before the online space. Remember, this is just clientele that I'm healing. I want to tell you another story, and this is a story that is a miracle. And it's a story that will help you to realize also about the cells of your body and how important it is to heal your mind. Don't harbor unforgiveness, guys, right? I have been challenged with something over the last month or maybe 2 months because the universe knows I've got to be here to be expressing to you. And I've come up against situations where I was completely disappointed because I'd got locked into a situation where I'd become codependent with a VA. Now, what is codependency? Codependency is where we don't feel like where we're depending on other people. So I felt like I needed this person to hold my hand. So when I knew my business needed to go to the next level, and I knew that we had to break through that bottleneck and really play big and expand, when I sat her down and I told her, this is what I'm going to do, she went MIA. Now, I was devastated. I just lost my left-hand man, although she's a woman. I lost the person who knew every single piece of my back end. You know, back into my website, back into my email campaigns, back into all my things. Now, what did I learn? Where's the learning here? I learned, Terri, grow up, girlfriend. It's time for you to grow up. You've got to throw that learned helplessness out the window. Just because you got yourself a billion-dollar energy, billion-dollar body, you became so, because I thank you, God, for my health and my immune system that used to be once crap. And, you know, I'd gone through all that. I'd gone through that phase. I grew a backbone and I made a stand to make a difference in my life. I did all that. And then I changed thousands of other people's lives in the same situation. And then I come to my next protocol, and this is why I've moved through to coming into the online space, and I realize I'm here to help other coaches, healers, and leaders to know that your passion and your fame is going to come from your pain. Okay? This is going to be your glory. And this is where I can help you get there, because you don't have to go through, you know, the pain that I've gone through. You can trailblaze through where I've trailblazed for you and go to this next level. Now, so many people say, oh, but I can't show up, I can't do videos like you, I'm not able to, you know, I'm this and I'm that. Well, that is absolute rubbish. You've got a voice. But if you aren't able to use your voice, if you aren't able to make a decision, if you haven't got the energy and the motivation. You have to heal that part of yourself where you are still operating out of the old stories behind your glory. Because I promise you, when you understand that your crisis and your story is your crown of glory, your life will change. When you understand that if you're online, by taking self-discipline, gaining a plan, taking control of your business, and actually investing. Guys, invest in yourself. Because that is one thing, if you invest in yourself, whether it is to purify the cells of your body, whether it is to heal your heart, whether it is to activate your voice, whether it is to help you to totally just stand in your renewal power of knowing that life is empty and meaningless, and the person who gives it meaning is you. Now, in my last meditation, we went through just a little bit of a cellular where we opened up the crown of the head, where we allowed golden light to come through, and where we were able to expand you. But what we want to do is we want to be able to heal the areas of, number one, your body, right? So you do have billion-dollar energy. We want to heal your relationships. Now, I've even come into huge challenges in my relationships of recent, where I have found myself really, really allowing my human ego and my human brain to, get the better of me. But guys, here's the thing. I know this wasn't for me. I know everything I've gone through, I'm going through that for you. I'm going through that to help the world. And, I am all about healing the crisis. I am all about healing the pain, I will be honest. And then I am all about turning your pain and your story into your glory. Now, before we go into the next meditation, I just want to share a little something else with you. So let's just take a break. I'll take a little break and I'm just going to share this with you, and then we're going to have our last meditation. Okay, let's try another one. Let's see if this one works. We just have to follow the universe and just accept how it is. So I'm going to present this one.
People that want to be motivated, but it's easy. Terri, you've made my life just easy. The resources that you allow us access to is phenomenal. I've never worked with a coach that says, hey, take my team, use them all you want, and get better. You never get a coach that does that. You always get the coaches that says, oh yeah, but you need to find your own team. Maybe, you need to figure out what you need to tell them. I've got no idea. I've been in lockdown in Melbourne for how many? Too long. I'm a mum of two little boys. So if it's not playing outside, riding bikes or getting snacks, at the moment it doesn't work. Terri just magically makes it all come together. And her team are so knowledgeable. They are all on the same page. There's zero questioning about what gets said. You have a meeting, and within half an hour it is designed. The program is set. You have access to the best of the best. And it's just, when you invest money, that's what you want. You want to be able to put your faith into someone to say, I'm scared. I've never done this before. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but help me. And that's what you do.
I love
that's what
that.
you do. It's just amazing.
And you say that everything you touch now turns to gold.
absolutely. And it's like, since I met you, everything has turned around, and it's something the universe is definitely trying to tell me that I do have a purpose. For 3 years, I thought after my accident, I've got nothing to offer anyone, life's over. And this has just turned it all around, and it's like I'm succeeding again. I've got my mojo back. Everybody wants my help. Everything's coming to me, money, abundance, everything. And I feel like it's all since I started this with you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Like, I feel almost like I'm putting this pain into remission. I'm not accepting it. I'm just saying, no, not going to deal with you today. I've got too much to do, and I'm not dealing with it. And it's not there. It's like, maybe I am in remission. I don't know. But
can I say something? I don't even like that word remission, right? But what I would like to say is that what if you were healed?
Well, that is the other possibility, isn't it? The thing that I felt was, because I wasn't doing anything, I felt that I didn't have anything to offer. Now that I've realised that, okay, the body may not want to do everything I want it to do, but the mind is still so strong, and I still have a lot to offer a lot of people. And through this, it's taken me into areas that I never even would have imagined.
And that's Jane, the beautiful Jane. And there you go. And there is just so many testimonials, you guys. I mean, there are, if you go to my website, you will find so many testimonials on my website. And I just want to go through one more, and then I'm going to come back with a meditation and a story. Nope, it is not wanting to work, but there are just so many stories. But I will tell you one specific story about a man that I actually used to be his carer. So I took up a role quite a number of years ago, about 15 years ago, where I would be caring for someone, and he was an elderly man. And we became very, very good friends. And he'd had a car accident, so he had a front lobar injury to his brain, and he was really high functioning, right? But there were issues, and he was granted care, and there were things that he needed doing for him. Now, one of the things I used to do is I used to take him on his doctor's visits, and sadly one day he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And this was stage 4 prostate cancer. And I can remember really just feeling like, no, we can do something about this. And I spoke to him and I said, we need to do some hypnosis. And hypnosis is very much like meditation. It's just where we speak to the cells of the body and we bring light. Now, the parts of the brain I was talking about, which is the subconscious, that is one part. Of course, the conscious, that's the part where that's the part that says, oh, I want to make a change. I want to become, more successful, or I want to have great relationships, or I want to have more money. And yet it's the part that seems to repeat all the old patterns. That's the conscious. The subconscious is the part that's automating everything. So you are running on programs, everything that has been programmed and hardwired into you. Now, there's one part of the brain that I consider, and I know my mum would be very happy about this one. It's the supernatural part of the brain. Now, my mum's a beloved Christian, as I am as well. I believe in God, and I believe that higher source is, the connection for all things in the universe. The super consciousness, when we go, and I feel that this is the levels that I've gone to. So when I first did NLP, it was all about the subconscious, which was incredible, breaking traumas, changing people's lives, seeing men that would come and see me and that had so much history with you know, maybe a depressed parent, like one gentleman who had a mother who suffered schizophrenia, and he had so much baggage around that. Now, he'd gone into business with his father, and he learnt about the work that I did, and he decided that he would invest in himself. He came to see me, and, you know, this was not the intention, but when he released his trauma, listen to this, you guys, he released his trauma, and he literally hit 7 figures. Now, why did that happen? He hit the 7 figures because he was able to release and set himself free. He wasn't blocked anymore. He wasn't trapped. Now, let's move to the superconscious. You know, I just went on and researched. I did more and more work. And then when I realized about the supernatural, the superconscious work, and then I went into clinical hypnosis, I began working on the cells of the body. And, you know, this is what I said to my friend. I said, I'll call him my friend. He has actually passed now, but he actually lived quite a good and vibrant life. But what had happened was we did work on him. And as a result, long story short, when he did pass away, probably around about 12 months before he passed, he was in hospital, and he had a sister who was actually more interested in inheriting his money than his actual wealth, health, and well-being. And when I rang her to say that he was sick and in hospital, the first thing she said to me is, "Are you sure he's going to die this time?" And true story, they had no relationship. They both grew up. One was like, they didn't even live in the same state, so they had absolutely no relationship. And anyway, they told the people, because he'd gone into kidney failure, she told the hospital, just let him pass, you know, let him be in palliative care and let him pass. And I remember going up to the hospital, and I remember I was speaking to the cells of his body. I spoke to the cells of his body, and there was something inside me that was so upset. I knew it wasn't his time to go. I just knew it in every cell of my body. And then, you know, doctors would come around and say to me, "No, what hope has he got? You know, he's prostate stage 4. You know, you just want to keep him alive, and then 12 weeks he's going to have agonizing pain." You know, all the typical scenario of this. But there was something deep inside me that knew something else. And I remember coming home that night and feeling so despondent, and Ian going up to the hospital and saying, "If something's not done, you know, I'm going to take action here." But I was sitting at the bed with him, and I had a meeting. There was all these doctors and nurses sitting around the bed, and he was just sleeping, and he was going to go into passing away. And as he was there and sleeping, and everyone just was more or less saying, "Just let him go, Terri, let him pass." And there was something about it, I was like, no, he's not ready to go. I know he's not ready to go. And so as he was there, I was arguing with the doctors. I was talking to them and telling them he's going to be okay. Now, in the heat of the argument, my bag dropped on the ground, and my friend opened his eyes and said, "What?" And I said his name, and I said, "You have to have the stents put in for your kidneys. If you don't, you're going to die." Now, do you know what? He had the stents put in. He actually lived for 2 years. And just before, in the 2 years of his life, he had an amazing life. But listen to this. This is the miracle. And I do not take the glory for this. I understand that this is all to do with this person receiving and being receptive to healing his body. When he was in hospital for another reason, the nurse came in and said, "I've got some news, but you've got a tiny little bit of cancer. We found a tiny little bit of cancer." Now, this was the same man with stage 4 metastasized cancer. And she's saying to me, when he was in hospital for something else, another procedure, we found a tiny little bit of cancer. That's the power of the body. Who wants to have one last meditation before we go home, before we go to bed? And I wonder if maybe, I'd like to say to you, what is your crisis? What is your guru? And what is the gift? What is the real gift in this? Shall we awaken that? Would you like me to wake up your gift? What about if I told you that we're going to also show you how you can bend time? Now, I'm going to tell you, as a person here that's told you also up the top, as a coach, healer, leader, or in your business, to be self-disciplined and have a plan and look at the pain of your story and turn it into your glory, and know that you are called to do something great. When you are orchestrating a productive exercise for your business, yourself, I'll tell you what happens. Time slows down, but you speed up. Okay? And that's what actually happens when you are activating in a time bending space. You will find that you will think that time is going very, very fast. But in actual fact, time slows down and you speed up. And that means by you speeding up, that means you achieve so much more. So let's get comfortable, shall we? Let's get comfortable. And I will just move to our music again. Bring up our music. That is giving you some subconscious prosperity codes, but I can assure you they're all good. So, okay, I just want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it at the top. Hold it at the top and breathe out. Take another deep breath in, long, and imagine you're taking in your excitement, your certainty, and your most incredible, decisive personality. Hold it at the top, hold it at the top, and breathe out. Now, as you have been here listening for quite a long time, as you've been listening to stories, as you understand that the things that you believe are really the things that are creating your life. And as you've heard me talk about the cells that wire together in the way that your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviours produce your success. I want you to close your eyes down, chat. I want you to imagine that the golden light that you brought into your body is now centering at the crown of your head, and every part of your face is now feeling a sensation of relaxation, feeling the space between your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, in space of time. And I want you to imagine that there's a big movie screen and you are physically moving into a deep relaxation. And in this deep relaxation, you are feeling the golden light going down through the throat chakra. You are experiencing the space between your shoulders of space of time. And now as that golden light moves down through your spine and moves all the way down to your stomach and awakens your intuition, allow the golden light to switch on your intuition. Allow the golden light to expand your throat, and may you feel the space in your throat, activating your voice in space of time. And now the golden light goes all the way down to your tailbone, where your root chakra is, unlocking your prosperity, expanding you, moving you now. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. I want you to visualize that in front of you there is a big movie screen. And on that movie screen there is an image of you on the left. And you are excited. It's a moment of time where you are so excited. And I want you to notice that you're going to allow your subconscious mind to see that memory. Notice how it's coded. Is it bright? Is it colourful? Is it big? Is it small? I want you to float into it now and allow your subconscious to float all the way in and feel the excitement. Whereabouts in your body do you feel the excitement? Now I want you to listen to what you're telling yourself inside of this. And as you do so, I want you to code it and lock it in and then float out. And on the right hand side of the screen is your certainty, a memory of when you have felt so confident, so certain, and so incredibly 100% rock solid. And I want you to see that memory. Notice how you are remembering it, and then float into it. And allow the codes of this memory of your certainty to flood sound as space and time expands. And now as you float out, I want you to see above at the very top of the screen now that there is a moment when you've made a decision to do something that has been so good. You knew it was going to be good, didn't you? You knew right from the get-go. And yet right now you're going to experience that decision-making feeling. And as you float into that decision-making feeling, I want you to notice what it feels like in your body. How is it coded? How are you wired? How do you sound? What does your voice sound like? And then float out. And I want you to see right there in the middle, below the decision and in between the excitement and the certainty, there's a black and white image of you in the crisis, in the negative belief, in that fearful situation. But what I want you to do now is I want you to just trust your superconscious to play this game. Seeing that you have certainty on the right, excitement on the left, I want you to shuffle them across, and shuffle them across the black and white image. That's right. And as you shuffle it faster and faster and faster and faster. And as you shuffle it, I want you to see the picture above, the decision. I want you to bring it down, and I want you to code it over the top of the black and white image. And then I want you to move it up. And then I want you to move to the right-hand side of the movie screen and feel into that certainty. And then as you do that, I want you to rewind backwards through the black and white picture, and you're going to go all the way back to excitement, where you're excited. And 1, 2, 3, rewind. That's right, now you're excited. And now as you are excited, I want you to go up to the top and where you've made that decision. And I want you to actually imagine that you are floating down really quick over the top of it, and then up, and then over the top, and then up, and then over the top, and then up. And then I want you to go over here to the right, to certainty. I want you to rewind back to excitement, forward to certainty, rewind, forward, rewind, forward, rewind, forward, rewind, and then float up. Now I want you to come back, and I want you to just be an observer, and I want you to notice that the 3 images are all now moving over the top of that old movie of your uncertainty, the old movie. And then it's like the whole movie clears. And as that movie clears, a brand new image comes up. See yourself. See yourself walking into the screen, and notice how your body looks when you've got billion-dollar energy. Notice what you have healed and how your life is improved. What is it that you're doing? How much money have you created in this movie? How much money have you created in your prosperity moves? Now here comes the $64 million question. What was the biggest trauma and crisis that you wanted to release? And even if you don't know now, that's okay. Just let that question land. I'm going to ask you again. As you see yourself in this movie and you are living your greatest life, firstly, I want you to understand, where are you? What's your environment? How do you look? What does your body look like? How much money have you made? What are you doing? What is your creation that you are impacting people? And just notice how many people you're impacting, how much money you're making. Notice what you look like, where you are, and how vibrant it is. And then just blow this up and take a picture. And as you take this picture, I'm going to ask you the question again. It doesn't matter if you don't know the answer. Just let your subconscious find the answer. What was the number one thing you had to let go of? You had to release a trauma. And that trauma that you had to release had a whole load of limiting beliefs around it. It had a whole load of elements that gave you stories and thoughts. It had a whole load of elements that was impacting your life. It was impacting your money. It was impacting your relationships. It was impacting everything. What is that very big element? And now as you come back, I want you to come back. And I want you to come back knowing that you are coming back and you are picking that image of you not then in the future. And as you come back, I'm going to bring you back to the count of 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now what I'd like to say to you is this. I would like to say that we are opening doors for the spiritual prosperity codes. Are you ready to actually, you've heard all the stories, you've heard some of the testimonials, I've got so many of them, but you only got to hear a few tonight or today, wherever you are and whenever you're listening to it. But what I'd like you to do is, firstly, I want to thank you so much for taking this time to invest. I also want you to know that these codes that you see on the screen, excitement, certainty, and decision, have a really big impact of helping you to move forward. The next thing is that you are going to receive an invitation. Now, if you don't mind, I am going to just share something very powerful with you just before we end and we conclude. And the reason I want to share it is so that you can understand fully what you are going to expect. So this I will share, and I'll just present it for the last 5 minutes. Thank you very much. And here we go. All right, this is my website, you guys, and it is under construction at the moment. And my web designer is saying, Terri, why are you holding a champagne bottle? And I'm saying, because I'm celebrating. And you'll see I'm a world-class coach, trainer, spiritual healer, success activator. But what I want to do is I want to take you, I've got tons and tons of testimonials, and you can go through that, terrimessenger.com. I'll let you do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through, not to our success stories, because there's too many to share with you, but I'd like to take you through to working with me and going into spiritual prosperity codes. Now, your spiritual prosperity codes is going to be a 3-week laser speed coaching to unlock your prosperity. Now, we are going to be doing the deep work. Now, if there is ever a time in my life that I've seen people that are wanting to make a big impact in the world and they don't know why the hell they are blocked and stopped, this is one of the biggest reasons, you guys, because you haven't done the deep healing of the cellular work inside your body. So we are going to go through this for 3 weeks. We are going to give you instant access. So the moment you say yes to this, you get instant access to a full library of meditations that are 10 times more powerful than what I've demonstrated tonight. You will get 2 powerful, you're going to get actually, 3 powerful live masterclasses, because we're going to be actually together for 3 weeks. You are going to be in my Voxer, where you'll get daily support to make sure that you're healing, you're integrating, you're upgrading, and you're going to get a workbook. And everything that I'm doing for you, I'm doing so that you can duplicate it. Now, duplication means that you are going to have your own program, but you're going to duplicate the workbook. You're going to duplicate the automation. You're going to duplicate the fact that your story is going to be your glory. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about this. If you feel that you are ready to work with me, okay, at the next level of prosperity, and you are ready to go inside and do the work on your prosperity, and I do say to you that this is absolutely mind-blowing. It's going to rapidly release trauma. It's going to really give you such an impact to release your blocks. But you know, money began flowing from all directions to me, through me and from me, when I did the inner work. But you heard my story about money falling through my fingers as well. And so that has been my next level. That's been something that I've had to now actually heal the holes that have been in that calendar, inside that, in that space, so that I can retain the prosperity and say, money, I may not love you, but I love what you can do. for the world, for my business, for my life, right? And I know that both my husband and I have had a big issue in really not caring about money at all. And I know that sounds very strange, but you're going to tap into your zone of genius. And how are you going to do this? You're going to tap into your zone of genius because your pain, your story is going to become your glory. And you may have taken years and years and tens and thousands of dollars to learn what it takes to become a world-class coach. But I'm going to help you to unblock what you need and energetically tap into your zone of genius. So you can break through the ceiling, guys. Break through that ceiling. But we're going to be working strictly on prosperity. So we're going to be honing in 3 weeks. We're going to start in February. We're going to hone 3 weeks so that you can quantum leap. What does quantum leap mean? It means that you're going to move to the next level fast. If you've been wondering why it's slow, I'm telling you that's why it's slow, because you haven't been dealing with it at the subconscious. You might have thrown yourself at programs, learning, doing this, doing that, but unless you do the inner work, guys, you are not going to prosper in your highest self. So we're going to quantum leap you to the next level. We're going to take you through the process of new neurons that are going to wire together and fire together, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says. And therefore, you're going to have a new blueprint. Now, you'll be with me for 30 days. You will get this very powerful training. It'll be 3 masterclass hot, but you will have inside the library, soon as you purchase, you're going to have the meditations, you're going to have work. The 3 live masterclasses are for you to be in the hot seat. The next thing is the biohacking modalities and all of the digital creation and strategies. But wait for the drum roll. You're also going to have access. I happen to be doing, I do a lot of in-person retreats. You are going to have access to this. People are paying to get into this. Now, how much is it? This is worth $10,000 easily, but this is going to be $555. But I did say 6 people I have, and this is because I can work with 6 people with an absolute guarantee that I'm going to give you my absolute best in doing this, so you get everything I just said. So everything I just said applies, but you get 3 private sessions to design your program, to have it demonstrated and to duplicate it. Now, how much is this? If you want to do the prosperity codes for you to do them is going to be $555. Okay, if you choose to go to the other space where you're going to be one of the 6, you can activate this. If you activate it and it goes through, it means that you've gotten in, and it's $1,100. Now, if you feel that you want to do this, you want to have the private sessions, you want to do the whole lot, DM me if you need a payment plan. My website is still currently under what do you call it? We are recreating it. We are making it designed for your luxury, so you have the library, but you're going to get that library straight away. We will kick off in February to our hot seat masterclasses, as I say, 555, or work with me and get everything that I just said, plus 3 powerful, massive, quantum leaping one-on-one sessions. Now, that's all about it, you guys. So what's it going to take? Now, what could be anything that could prevent you if you feel like, you know what, I really, really, really want to do this. I really feel like this is what I need to do. What could hold you back? What if it doesn't work? Okay, well, you might go to my website, look on my testimonials and see all of the people that I have worked with, and there's been thousands and thousands of people. But what if it doesn't work? Guys, I will guarantee you that I will work with you. I will work with you and see you healed. Okay, so when you get 3 massive sessions, these are clinical hypnotherapy sessions, business consultation, and my zone of genius. So what can I say? You just have to feel into it and you can activate it. We will be giving out an invitation. There will be something in the comments, I believe there is in the private chat. We will have something dropped so that you can activate it, and we'll get something to you straight away. But don't hesitate, guys. Remember, this is your life. You've only got one crack at this, and if I may say, your life, your prosperity, your billion-dollar energy, and your greatest prosperity and living your legacy life is my absolute passion. Much love to you. I'll see you soon. Mwah.